Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 8th day of July, 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. I hope your families are safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Special blessings and prayers upon the people in Central Texas, where over 100 people at this point have been declared dead as a result of flash flooding. Many children among those dead. Remember them in your thoughts and prayers. Blessings also upon those that work in health, along with first responders who also responded in Texas, for they're always trying to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of pornography, child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses upon the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that keep these industries going. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today I want to talk about a player that I have been wanting the Knicks to get for a couple of years before they got him, and that's Mikal Bridges. I was disappointed in Knicks Nation last year with respect to Macau Bridges. It really is annoying that people are so short-sighted that they can't see a longer view. So many kept whining about the 5 picks the Knicks were never going to use that they used to get Mikal Bridges, and then acting willfully ignorant or just plain ignorant about why they spent so much to get him. Macau Bridges, of course, he's played 6 seasons and started off in Phoenix in 2018. Never missed a game. Played 82 games every year, except the COVID shortened year, he played 73. But he is always a high IQ, defensive, length, 7-foot wingspan forward. Okay, and he could play 2 guard as he has done for the Knicks this year as well. The way he was utilized this past season in terms of the amount of minutes affected him, I think, more than any of the other players on the team. He, in his career, averages 33 minutes a game. He averaged 37 minutes in his first year in New York. I think that hurt his efficiency. And he mentioned, obviously we all know, he mentioned to Thibodeau that less minutes would be appreciated. But Thibodeau didn't pay any attention to that, which is why Thibodeau is not here no more. But his efficiency was what hurt. Now, in the playoffs, as we saw in both the Detroit series and the Celtics series, he is clutch, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Very opportunistic. I call him the road runner. It seems like he gets more energy and he runs more at the end of a game than he does in the beginning of a game. So under Mike Brown, it's not necessarily plays being called for him. It's going to be keeping him on the floor for less minutes. If he returns to closer to the 33 minutes a game, which I expect he will, you're going to see his efficiency increase. As he was in Phoenix, he was getting a little bit better scoring-wise each year. Phoenix made the mistake of trading him, as many teams have done, in order to obtain Kevin Durant. And they did that, and they moved him and Cam Johnson to Brooklyn. Bad move. Didn't work out for Phoenix. And from that time, I was hoping that the Knicks would add him as the final championship piece we need. Now, he just completed his first year in New York. He came to New York at the end of 2024, last year. The Don pulled off the trade. And his first year in New York, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, I'm not saying it was only him, but I don't think it's coincidental that his first year in New York, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. What's exciting to me about Mikal Bridges is that as he gets in a better management situation, which I believe Mike Brown's going to be better than Tom Thibodeau in terms of player minutes management, he's going to be even better. So he averaged 18 a game this past season. He was getting, he shot the ball from the field 50%, 35% from three, which again is below his career average. He's a 37% three-point shooter. So you get him in a situation where he's playing a little less minutes and a little bit more free-flowing offensive game. He's going to flourish. And even with all of that, he had a 41-point game last year. He had several big games for the Knicks, several defensive wins, with the Sacramento block and Chicago. And, of course, in the playoffs, as I mentioned, you're going to see more of that, okay? He's a glue guy of the highest order. He's not a superstar, but he is a glue guy of the highest order, which is why I wanted, once they had DiVincenzo and they had Hart with JB, that whole Villanova thing, those guys fit like a glove. Of course, I didn't know that summer we were going to obtain OG Anunoby and have to include Devo in the trade. But that didn't change Mikal Bridges' effectiveness. So I'm expecting him to play at an even higher level. The year before, when he was in Brooklyn, he became, because Brooklyn's lack of, they had a lack of go-to players, go-to offensive talent. He became that guy. And he averaged 26 a game his first year in Brooklyn, and he averaged 20 a game his last year in Brooklyn. And so I expect him to get just a couple points up, maybe 20 a game this year, because he was getting about 16 shots a game in Brooklyn, and he was getting about 14 last year. Even though he was more efficient from the field last year, I think he's going to be even better this year. Not like he's going to get 30 a game, but for a guy like this, that's a very important piece in our championship puzzle. For him to get closer to 20 points a game, 50% again from the field, and shoot more than 37% from three, which I expect him to do. For him, a guy like that at that position, he's going to be big time for the Knicks. And then, of course, I expect his defense to be even better because of the less minutes that he's going to be playing. So Mikal and OG commonly last year took on the two best offensive players of the opponent, especially if they were a wing. You see either Mikal and or OG playing those guys in the starting unit. And so that's going to continue. I'm excited. A guy that doesn't miss a game, that's available, that has a high IQ, that plays lockdown defense. And, of course, we know with Mikal, with OG, we call them Wingstop because they shut down wings. So this is going to be good for the Knicks. So this is what I'm saying. The key thing for New York coming into this season is not what players they obtain, which the short-sighted are always looking for. It's keeping the same team and keeping them healthy. So with Macau Bridges, the road runners, who what I call them, skinny, great wind, could run like Havlicek, on the floor, and then bringing up his efficiency, it's going to be big time for the Knicks. It's going to be big time. Obviously, I just named four big games. He won the game against Chicago with a defensive block. He won the game against Sacramento with a three. He won the game against Boston with a defensive play. He won the final game against Detroit with a defensive play on Cade Cunningham. You're going to see more of that. Okay, you're going to see more of that. And I know that Mike Brown is smart enough to recognize what he has in Mikal Bridges. So you have him with OG, and you're going to have a dynamic duo. Now, the thing is about Mikal, as you saw last year, there were many times, especially when you started playing against a team that puts a lot of pressure, or 94 feet pressure on Brunson. right? When you get a team putting 94 feet pressure on Brunson, it was Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges that were setting up the offense. I don't believe Hart is going to start this year. I think he's going to come back to the bench unit, and Mitchell Robinson's going to start, and that's fine. But you'll see more teams putting 94-foot pressure on Brunson as they feel like that's the way they can at least slow down the Knicks. So you're going to see Macau Bridges setting up the offense more. He'll be more of a facilitator to start an offense. He won't be the only facilitator, obviously, but he's going to be more a facilitator. He's already a playmaker, okay? And it was killing me how many people were trying to criticize. You know, if more people just enjoyed the Knicks for what they have right now instead of trying to want to be coaches, we could have more happier fans. Criticizing him for doing a fadeaway shot, that's his favorite shot that he's been shooting since high school. Okay? And how many times he doesn't get to the line. He's not a guy that draws a lot of fouls. That's not his game. Okay? He's a defensive guy that runs the floor all night long. Gets big defensive plays. He's a mid-range shooter. That's his game. He can shoot the three, but if you look at his career stats, his career average, he averages about 5 threes attempted per game. Last year, he averaged about 6. And I expect him to get that this coming season because, again, you're going to have a lot of attention paid to Jalen Brunson and Cat. You're going to have a lot of attention paid to OG. Him and OG especially, they're going to get a lot of open looks from 3. And I think he's going to hit better. I'm not even going to say he's going to get his career average of 37%. I think you're going to see Macau Bridges score more about 40% from 3 this year because of the less minutes, better offense, more efficiency. You're going to see him shoot about 40%. That's the number I'm giving him this year, and about 20 points a game. It's going to be lit to watch this team this year. Watch them play that. That's one of the benefits. I was a little concerned, as I mentioned many times, about the defensive side of the ball with Mike Brown. I am not concerned with the offensive side of the ball with Mike Brown and whoever he picks. I'm thinking it's going to be Mike Nori, but you get these guys in here, they're gonna run some offense. And I'm not as concerned with the defense either, as long as Mike Brown gets the opportunity to focus on the defensive side of the ball and let someone else like Nori or Borrega, who's under contract as we know him in New Orleans, focus on the offensive side of the ball. But you're going to see a 10-man rotation. You're going to see more offensive plays, more free-flowing. You're going to see Brunson operate in space more. Everybody that watches the NBA knows that Brunson is most dangerous going downhill. And so you're going to see a lot of sets with that in mind, trying to get him downhill. And it's not going to be easy for the opponents to stop him from doing that when you got a guy like Macau Bridges and another guy like OG on the wing. It's not going to be easy for them to do it. And they still got to keep 2 on Karl Anthony Towns. So it's pick your poison at that situation. So Macau is going to be extremely important. Like I said, a guy, especially in the playoffs, as we saw against Detroit and Boston, where you need a stop. You need to have guys on the floor that can help you get that stop. Macau Bridges is Exhibit A. He's that guy, both against Tatum and against Cade and whoever else we got to guard. He's the guy. So I'm excited. I'm expecting more. I'm not expecting to average 30 a game or even 26 that he did in Brooklyn. About 20 a game. But he's going to be very efficient. He's not flashy. Very efficient. Very consistent on a high level on the defensive end of the floor. And just be him. You see, that's again, when I was pushing for the Knicks to get him, I did not expect him to not do his fadeaway or to give up his mid-range game or to get to the line more than he has his whole career. I expected him to be him. Okay? The same cat that was in Phoenix, that was in the all-defensive team, the same cat that came to Brooklyn, had a great attitude with a sorry team and scored 26 a game. Same team playing defense, high IQ. That's what we need. And with the other guys we have, this is going to be very, very good. Very, very good for the Knicks. So, and again, we're coming into Summer League now. And so we're going to find out if there's going to be a guy that could rise up, a clean rise to the top on the wing that can maybe spell him. Right now, you're going to see Josh Hart come in for Macau a lot. You're going to see Josh Hart do it. You might see them on the floor together in smaller lineups, but you'll see Josh Hart playing that 2-guard, 3-4 small forward position more than the 4, because you got Yabusele now, which is why Yabusele was a very important signing for the Knicks. You got a backup 4 that can solidly play the backup 4, okay? And he can even go 5 if he needs to. But again, that's another story, because I'm expecting the Knicks to be deep at the 5 with Mitch Rob. We got Towns and Mitch Rob, but we got Hoop Party, and I'm hoping Najee shows something, because if we get all that, the Knicks are going to be good. But then you got the rookie Diawara. I'm not giving up on Diawara making this roster. There's only 2 spots. One of them is going to go to Shamet, in my view. And then, by the way, let me make a correction from yesterday. I got to give somebody props, because yesterday I was talking about how much money the Knicks have to spend on that last spot, and I mentioned the minimum of $2.3 million. What I did not properly address, and I gotta find this guy, because he pointed it out very well. I forgot his name, but he pointed it out. James Proctor. Thank you, James Proctor 7053. Because even though the minimum is $2.3 million, you can pay, because he has more than 10 years experience, you can pay Shamet 3.6, but it only counts against the cap for 2.3. That's a huge thing right there. So that now, with respect to Shamet, it's not about, he would come back to the Knicks, because he's going to have a short rotation spot. He's going to play. He's going to be an important piece. The only question is there a team out there that will offer him multiple years at more than $3.6 million? That's the thing. Is somebody out there going to offer him the mid-level exception that they gave Yabusele for 5.7? That's what we're looking at right now. And the reason you ain't heard nothing yet, for 2 reasons. Number one, the Don is negotiating with his people. I'm sure of it as I'm speaking to you. And number two, generally, a guy like a Shamet is looking for what teams want him once the big-time free agent dust settles. So once the big-time free agent, what I mean, all the big moves, all the big trades, like what just happened with the trade between that trade too, Houston and Phoenix, but I'm talking about Utah, Miami, and who was it? The Lakers, Utah, Miami, and the Lakers. That's another big trade. Once that stuff settles down and the teams are looking for those final pieces, that's where Shamet comes in. So at this point, I'm hoping at any time we could hear of a Shamet signing. Yabusele is official. Jordan Clarkson is official. And then you got, of course, the new coach in Mike Brown. So now, and let's not forget Jordan Clarkson, who also will come in for Macau Bridges at the 2-guard spot. But of course, when Jordan Clarkson comes in, you're going to be surrounding him with defensive players. You're going to have Mitchell Robinson or Hoop Party, Yabusele, Deuce McBride. You're going to have to surround, which I'm sure they will. They're going to surround Jordan Clarkson with defensive players. But Mikal is not going to have to play as many minutes this coming season as he did last season. And what I'm saying in short is he's going to be better. He's going to be even better. And I felt like he was good last season. I felt like I was disappointed in how many people were out here whining and crying and trying to be wannabe coaches and GMs with respect to Macau Bridges. And we gave up too much for him. It was stupid. The Knicks were never going to use those picks. Once you're in this, it's like Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City got a ton of picks. They're never going to use them. They're going to push them down the road because they're too good. They don't need to add anything. That's the Knicks. Except in Knicks Nation, everybody thinks the grass is always greener on the other side. So giving up those picks to get Macau was a smart-ass move, and I'm glad that Don did it. And now, this year, last year was good. We got to the ECF with this cat. This year, though, When we're looking for the chip, it's perfect timing to get the best out of the road runner. So you all enjoy your Tuesday. Keep enjoying your summer. Be safe out there. And get ready to enjoy Macau Bridges at a higher level. So